I guess, yeah, we can go ahead and get into this. So I read the chat a little bit while we were going to try and get my bearings straight. I Googled Brianna Wu. I have no idea who this woman is. I couldn't discern what her political positions were off the bat. Somebody said that she was a gamer gator back in the day, which is crazy. That was something that had almost been lost from the annals of my internet memory. That was like 2013, so 10 years ago. Not to relitigate that, but like, who is this lady, Gavin? If you were going to give me the TLDR.
Yeah, well, the Gamergate connection, she wasn't one of the like misogynistic, gamer bros. Obviously, she was one of the kind of like the victims or the targets.
One of the women.
Yeah, like one of the women, like Anita Sarkeesian, who was really a big into kind of the SJW posting that really attracted the ire of a lot of the burgeoning alt-right movement around like 2015. A lot of people refer to that time period as like the Gamergate moment. That's kind of where she got her start. Nowadays, she is more known as just a progressive online. She's the executive director of Rebellion PAC, which is TYT's progressive hybrid PAC. And also she's just kind of known in like the Twitch sphere, from my understanding. Like I think she's about to be on a panel with vaush and Destiny, and maybe Emma Vigland as well is going to be on that panel. And a lot of people have been like anticipating that. I think it's an in real life panel, and it's the first time Destiny and vaush will have actually come face to face in years, after vaush famously completely swore off interacting with Destiny like 2 years ago. This is going to be their big, rendezvous, and Brianna Wu will be there.
She's the person I didn't know that was on the panel. That makes sense.
Yep. And admittedly, like, I don't have much of an opinion on Brianna Wu. I have not followed her commentary, her content. I really, had to do a bit of a deep dive myself on Brianna Wu this morning when I saw this whole, scandal unfolding and all of this drama popping off. Because, like I said, I was like, I don't know Brianna Wu. I don't really know what she stands for. But apparently, she has some, public positions and some private positions. I guess that would be one way to put it. Because like I said, this is not some, Brianna Wu is not vaush. I'll just put it that way. Vaush is known for being edgy. He's known for not apologizing when he gets called out for stepping in shit or saying something that's problematic or unpopular. Brianna Wu is not really like that, from what I understand. She's a little bit more of a well-behaved progressive, and obviously, being one of the targets of Gamergate, being a big like Anita Sarkeesian adjacent content creator, means that she's certainly spent lots of time herself online woke scolding other people, or calling out other people for problematic comments or behavior. She's not exactly an edgelord, is the point I'm getting at. And that's all some context for the fact that some interesting DMs got leaked. And I'm interested, Zach, because this has kind of sparked a discourse online about whether or not Brianna deserves to be criticized for these leaked DMs, because of the fact that they were totally private. I guess they were Discord messages. It's not like she posted this stuff on Twitter. So some people have kind of been saying like, well, lots of even progressives, even people that traditionally support the LGBT community, if you start looking through their private messages, you might see them talking in a way that's a little bit less polite, just because they're talking to friends or people that, they're not interacting with in public.
Yeah, Gavin sounds like Eminem in '99 if you let him get on a fucking text for.
Oh my gosh. But so that's kind of the substance of the discussion. I think what Brianna posted is pretty bad, and it's pretty hard to, look at it in any other way than that. But let's take a look. So she responds here and says a few things. Some group DMs got leaks tonight and were selectively chosen to paint a completely false narrative about me not respecting non-binary people. If you read our whole group chat, you'd see comments from me talking about how I think non-binary people are experiencing real pain, and how even though I don't understand it, they deserve respect. I also said they need more healthcare. This is why you should be very suspicious of things selectively edited by people with an axe to grind. They're not going to show you the parts that fit their agenda. I respect non-binary people. I will call you by whatever pronouns you prefer, and I'll vote for whatever politician that will give you more rights. Anyone that says otherwise is lying. My record is nothing but allyship. So that's her, addressing the scandal. Let's take a look.
Do we have the DMs?
Yes.
Okay, because that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, and actually, another element of the story, a reason I thought it was worth commenting on, is because one of the targets of Brianna's DMs, or one of the people that was unfortunately being discussed in Brianna's DMs, is actually Benny, friend of the show, Benny, who recently left TYT after, escalating transphobic rhetoric from Anna Kasparian, namely, but other people at TYT as well. And Benny posted this morning, some people will literally just be mad at you for being hot. So again, let's actually look at the DMs and see what exactly was said about Benny and other people.
Yeah.
So here's the DMs. This person says, I have to admit that Brianna Wu being outed as a massive right-wing bigot with the vile veneer of a centrist turf actually was on my bingo card this year. Now, please quit targeting queer leftists for your super PAC since we are too woke for you. And here's a bunch of DMs. Some of these are from Brianna. Some of them are just her responding to other people's transphobia. So here's someone posting a photo of Benny, by the way, looking phenomenal. I'm not sure what's wrong with this picture.
Yeah, I
of Benny
read that
at
DM
all.
already. I'm not happy about this.
Right. And then quoting Silence of the Lambs, it puts the lotion on the skin, of course, referencing the trans serial killer character in the movie Silence of the Lambs. Someone says her dress reminds me of those god awful skirts that femboys buy, please. And then Brianna just chimes in and says God with a period. So not really pushing back on any of this weird, like at best meanness or just rudeness, at worst straight up transphobia. And then they go on to say, no, Brianna says, I mean, if you're not super hot, maybe just dress normally and don't present yourself as a transvestite. You can go a long way with just being skinny and dressing normally. So again, I don't know how to possibly interpret this other than just pure transphobia. And it seems to be because of the fact that they don't like Benny. I guess Benny has some like tanky takes that people have been mad at. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, that video, a debate that she did with Charlie Kirk has been going around, and guys like Benny's, cool and everything. I would have also not made some of those arguments that Benny was making. Sometimes it's easy to step into a trap that a guy like Charlie Kirk is trying to create about like, Marxism and like, tankies and whatnot. And I'm sure that Benny and I have disagreements when it comes to like esoteric foreign policy, but this is just fucking ridiculous. This is clear as day. Like, I don't know. Do I think that, like Brianna Wu should like lose every friend that she's ever had, and that anybody that ever talks to her, interacts with her ever again needs to be like fucking castigated and set on fire and like, never dealt with again? No, of course not. But yeah, bro, I was expecting something that was actually funny. I was expecting something that was like, oh, like this is like maybe a little bit cringy. This is like on the line, but like you could tell that like somebody's heart is in the right place. Like, they're just like being a little bit teasy. Yeah, just being skinny and dressed normally. It's a fucking insane thing to say. And also just like, what the heck? Like clearly this is like a circle of bigotry, and it does give off massive turf energy. It's like, why are you coming after Benny for just living her life, for just trying to post a fucking selfie where they feel good about herself? Like it's pretty pathetic. It's pretty low, like, low blow. Like, I don't know. I mean, like I said, Gavin and I have had like problematic exchanges where I've said shit like retarded or something, but like I've never actually gone like nobody would ever go like hardcore into the fucking like ableism route. That would just be rude. And also Gavin be like, what the fuck, dude? That's like not cool. Like, why would you say that? If I went on like some random ass turf talking points where I was like, hey, look at this fucking like, you know what I mean? Like nobody I know would just be cool with that. They would be like, what the fuck, dude? Like, why are you saying this to me? Like, dude, like, what the hell's the problem with you? This person's just out here trying to live her fucking life, and that's what's crazy. You put that fucking selfie up, it's so innocuous, and this is what pisses people off, guys. Like trans people just living their fucking lives. Right. They're just out here fucking doing what everybody else does, bro. Like, how many women every single fucking day get on Twitter, dude, and they just post a picture of themselves, and it gives them a confidence boost. Like, I go out with Celise all the time, and she'll be like, oh, hey, will you take a picture of me? Like, I really like my outfit. And I'm like, yeah, sure, babe, whatever. And then she posts it, and then all of her friends are like, oh my god, blah, blah. And like that's how like women support each other and shit, right? Like, it's cool. It's actually a good thing. But to try and like, I don't know, this is like such like middle school bully behavior. Like, I hate to say the word bully because I've always hated it. It feels like it infantilizes like the concept of somebody just being a ridiculous asshole. But that's really what it reminds me of. It just reminds me of that super bitchy, catty middle school behavior that fortunately I was pretty removed from because I was like a dude and like, in mask, and then like dudes will just be like, fuck you, you're gay, bro. This guy's fucking like, it was like a little bit different than the like cattiness that goes on with women. But yeah, that's kind of my read on the situation. It's definitely a horrible look for Brianna Wu, especially if she's gone out as been somebody that's like a woke scolder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy. And once again, even from the so-called progressive left, every single time I see an example of transphobia, without fail, it just seems to be coming from ugly people who are mad at trans people for not being fucking ugly. Like that's what this whole fucking thing always boils down to. And it's always the most uncreative disses, the most unoriginal, you know, let's bring up Silence of the Lambs. Oh, the most popular depiction of a trans character in media from the 90s, the go-to character
Which
for
is fucked up.
transphobia.
If I could just chime in on that, because the whole crux of that character is that, like, oh, Buffalo Bill isn't actually like a transgendered person. He just hates his own skin, and this is why he lives like that. And look at him, he's evil. And it just created the most like nefarious picture in people's brains of like what it means to have gender dysphoria and what it means to like, yes, this is the only fucking trans person that gets represented in culture, and they're not actually trans, and also they're a fucking murderer. Like,
yeah,
you know
that's
what
I'm saying. And I like the movie Silence of the Lambs. I'm not sitting here saying that it's like a piece of shit or whatever, but it is really unfortunate that like for a long time the most popular representation of the transgender experience was a deranged serial killer character, and
until
that
Laverne Cox got on Orange is the New Black, I would say that was the first time where you had like an actual like based presentation of like just an actual trans woman, like, oh yeah, you're trans, like this is who you are.
Exactly. So to immediately go to that well again, it just speaks to the lack of creativity from transphobes that we always encounter. And then it goes on. There's more stuff like that. They're mocking neo pronouns and shit like that. People that want to be referred to as it or something like that. Which who cares?
Who really cares, right?
Right.
Like, I don't
who gives
give
a
fuck,
shit,
right? Like, that's the whole point. And like, that's what I always tell people who like really care. I'm like, fucking why, dude? Like, just stop giving a shit. That's all you have to do. Stop giving a shit and move on. Like, yeah, you don't want to be called that. Like, that's great. Nobody's fucking calling you that. Like, just like, you know what? I mean, honestly, like, like, to give credit to Nick Cruz for a second, one of the most base like arguments I ever heard for like just like existing, it was like, bro, going back to Muhammad Ali, bro, what's my name, fool? Like, or say my name, fool. You know what I mean? Like, that is the fundamental respect. Like, do not fucking call me Cassius Clay. That's not my name. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's yeah, I don't know. It's so fucking obvious to me.
Right. And again, like, I don't give a shit if Benny totally shit the bed in her debate with Charlie Kirk. I don't care if she's sympathized with Mao and Stalin or what. Like, I mean, I disagree with that. I'm not saying I totally don't care, but in this instance, it's completely irrelevant to the transphobia. And it's just like, it's not an excuse. And I see people trying to use that as an excuse, be like, well, look at these deranged takes from Benny. Okay, I might disagree with those takes. I probably do. But that's not just, I don't just abandon my solidarity for trans people because I disagree with someone. And by the way, here's Keffels, who's, I believe her commentary on this matter is greatly informed by the fact that she is currently in the midst of a huge beef with Benny. So she's like been publicly beefing with Benny, specifically over the tanky comments and stuff like that. I honestly struggle to believe that Keffels would have had this take if it weren't for the fact that she was like, in this antagonistic beef with Benny, who's the person in question here. But Keffels says, I've been out as trans for almost 13 years, and I guarantee most people outraged by this have a private account somewhere on Twitter where they are saying worse. The real proof trans women are women is how catty they are to each other. Which is weird. I mean, and she says, just to clarify, I agree that those DMs aren't good. My point is not that it's okay Brianna said those things. What I'm saying is this mean girl behavior is much more common in private than most people are willing to admit. I've seen little attempt at constructive dialogue today. And again, I just, gotta disagree with that. Like, if you can look through my fucking Discord messages and, you can go through Zach and I's entire chat history from our fucking like 20-year long friendship, and you're not going to find fucking transphobia. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to find us calling trans women Buffalo Bill and saying the shit. Like, I'm not saying I've never said something in public that I would prefer to stay private, or I've never said that I've never said something in private that I would prefer to stay private. But I just don't agree with this, that like everyone who's outraged by this is also being privately transphobic behind the backs of other content creators. I just don't think that's true.
To play devil's advocate, right? Because I mostly agree with you, but just to kind of see where Keffels is coming from, I think that part of what she's trying to articulate is that the people who are like the most ruthless, fucking like, I want to castigate everyone. I like, I'll give the example, like, the like white person that like is constantly like fucking like calling out microaggressions and all of this shit, and like is constantly like fucking
Yes.
Just aggravating everybody, but they've never hung out with a black dude in their entire life. Like they just like, you know what I mean? Like deep down, like they actually are prejudiced, and that's why they have to like fucking project this to everyone else. I think that that's kind of what Keffels is trying to hone in on. Like a lot of times the people who pretend to be the like staunchest and most like hardcore, intolerant of any offense of trans people, like they themselves may harbor, prejudice feelings. In this instance, I think a lot of people are just accurately pointing out that this was unacceptable and that this was horseshit and that it flies directly in the face of the, persona or, whatever that this Brianna Wu person has curated, right? If you are like kind of a lefty person and and if it's true what the chat is telling me that they've kind of have a reputation for, being a holier than thou kind of a lefty, then that would kind of lead people to be pissy about it, right? Like they would be like unhappy with you. And
Right.
I just think it's a terrible look for, anyone. Like, obviously I don't love like getting like exposing people's private DMs, but like a Discord server, like that's not even like a text message to one other person. Like that's almost that,
Right.
it floats the line. Like if we had a Discord
Yeah.
server and I started talking a bunch of ridiculous shit in there, we used to have one. I don't know if, whatever happened to it, but you know what I mean? That'd be fair game for anybody to, grab that. Just like if I was talking on the mic.
Totally. And it's not like it's not like this is a group chat with her neighbor where they're talking about some, person down the hall that none of us know about. They're talking about Benny, who's another public figure, another internet personality / political commentator. So I think that makes it also like worthy of discussion in the public forum. You're bringing in someone who's not part of this Discord group chat and talking about them. And, someone else that was part of this group chat apparently was not happy with that and decided to leak it. So, it's not like this was truly private. You're right, Zach. I think that's also important. But I mean, I agree. Like, I'm not saying that Brianna Wu needs to be hunted down with fucking pitchforks and canceled off the internet, never allowed to speak again. Like, obviously not. That's stupid. But I do think it's totally fair to call this out for the, bullshit that it is, the very transphobic, hateful rhetoric which is displayed here in these DMs. And again, this is someone, Brianna Wu, who in the past has had no problem calling out other people for saying transphobic things or, being a problematic individual. So I think it's fair game to call this out. I also, I think this rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Let me throw this up on screen. After putting out that weird apology, Brianna Wu retweeted this meme saying the whole situation in a nutshell. And then it's this guy holding up a sign saying the most base thing ever. So she's basically, after apologizing, now turning around and implying that, no, actually what I said was the most base thing ever. So it's like, well, why did you even apologize for it then? Or why did you even put out that statement? What do you actually believe here? It's just a little bit bizarre. And I think that's definitely left a pretty bad taste in people's mouth for understandable reasons.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, so L for Brianna Wu, public L for turfs everywhere.